Hello and a warm welcome to all the listeners who follow our ghost stories here on this channel. Tonight's story is a true one, told by a man named Kira, and it's titled The Spirit Guarding the Rice Fields. I'm deeply honored to share this true story from my own childhood nearly 20 years ago now. Back then, I was a carefree kid, thinking only about school, playing, and running around all day long. I should mention that I come from Takeo province, a quiet, simple countryside where people live very close to nature. In those days, my favorite thing to do was hunt. My aim was incredibly steady. It was rare for a bird, a squirrel, or even a gecko to escape me. If an animal crossed my path, it was almost certainly its last day. But before I dive into the truly terrifying part of this story, I have to say this. Karma is real. Some karma waits for our next life, but some, it finds us right here. In this one, when I was young, I always aimed for the heads of the animals I hunted. Now, as an adult, I suffer from constant headaches. They're never severe, but they never leave me, either every single day, without fail. No doctor has ever been able to find a cause. When I mentioned this to some of the elders, they said, perhaps it's karmic retribution. Maybe in your past actions, you harmed another's head, and now you suffer in the same way. Hearing that, I remembered my childhood hunts and realized this wasn't from a past life. This was the result of my own actions in this life. Now, let's get to the frightening story itself. One afternoon after lunch, my friend Hassan and I went out to hunt. At first, we stuck to the trees near the village, but we didn't see a single thing. So, we decided to walk farther out into the rice fields. The fields in my area weren't just open plains. They were dotted with patches of trees. When we arrived, there was still no animals, and the heat was becoming unbearable. We decided to rest in an old farm hut, one of those small shelters built for watching over the rice paddies. The breeze there was cool and soothing, and before long, we both started to doze off. I must have fallen into a deep sleep, when suddenly I heard a loud thud, like someone had just jumped onto the bamboo bed right beside me. I thought it was my friend playing a prank, so with my eyes still closed, I said, "Hey, stop messing around, will you?" But there was no reply. I opened my eyes and saw no one. My friend was gone. I looked outside and saw him running away, far from the hut. I shouted his name, but he never even looked back. That's when it hit me. He's been running for that long. Then who, or what, just jumped onto the bed a moment ago? I went back into the hut to gather my things. As I stepped inside, I suddenly heard the sound of a woman crying, then laughing, over and over again. But no one was there. My whole body started to tremble. I realized then that I had been haunted. I grabbed my belongings and ran as fast as I possibly could from that place. I didn't go straight home. Instead, I ran to Hassan's house to ask him what had happened. When I arrived, I saw him by the side of his house, splashing water on himself. I called his name. When he turned to face me, I saw his eyes were completely red-eye. Couldn't tell if it was from crying or something else. I asked him, "What did you see back there?" He told me, "I saw the face of a woman, a ghost rising up from the roof of the hut. It was just her face, and it was horrifying. One of her eyes bulged far out, and her hair was so long it nearly touched the ground. Even though I hadn't seen it myself, just hearing his description made me shiver." I scolded him, half angry. "Then why did you run off and leave me there alone?" He answered through tears, "I don't know. I wasn't thinking. I was just so scared. I just ran." I was shocked, but I couldn't really blame him. Fear makes people act without thinking. So, I just went home. That evening, a heavy rain began to pour and didn't stop for hours. As night fell, I could hear the croaking of frogs and the chirping of Krikatuza, sound of life returning after the storm. My older brother called out, "Let's go catch some frogs." I hesitated, the memory of that afternoon still haunting me. But the thought of all the frogs appearing after the rain was too tempting. Besides, I thought, if I go with my brother, I'll be safe. So I took my bag and followed him, without telling him what had happened earlier. He wasn't the type to believe in ghost stories anyway. We hadn't gone far when we saw a giant frog, as big as a dinner plate. Its skin was dark, almost a glossy black. Just looking at it gave me chills. I didn't dare touch it, but my brother leaped forward quickly, trying to grab it with his bare hands and missed. The frog vanished instantly. There's no way it could have hopped away that fast, not in that thick mud. My brother swore he had touched it, felt its slippery skin, and then it just disappeared. We both realized something was wrong. My brother said calmly, "Even if it's a spirit, there's nothing to be afraid of." We continued walking. Not long after, we reached a spot near that same haunted hut. From a distance, I recognized it immediately and warned him, "Brother, don't go over there. That's the haunted place." But he just laughed and said, "I'll stay right here. You're scared of nothing." Then, out of nowhere, a flame appeared behind the hut, glowing a blue-white color, like glass fire. "See that?" he said. "Let's go check it out, maybe. That's where the frog went." We took a few steps closer, and the flames suddenly shot straight toward us. That's when we realized it wasn't a lantern or a trick of the light. It was something unnatural. We dropped our nets and ran with all our strength. The thing chased us for a long time before it finally vanished. By the time we reached home, my legs were bleeding from sharp shells in the mud, but I didn't care. I was just grateful to still be alive. From that day on, I swore off hunting frogs or fish at night. My brother, though, never changed. He still went out often. And that, dear listeners, is the end of my true story. Thank you for spending your time listening. May you all stay safe, and may karma guide us toward good deeds. If you enjoyed this story, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more tales from the shadows. We'll see you next time.